Okay, wine number two. So we start with these, we'll call it experimental or less typical white wine. And I really want to do a second white wine, but it's still sort of red wineish or reddish wine weather. So I decided to not give you a Gruner Veltliner, even though I just absolutely love Gruner Veltliner in spring. So you're almost certainly going to get one in May. And I decided to go with two reds. And I almost went back to the Gruner just because the one red I wanted wasn't in the country, able to get it. But first, before I get into that one in the next video, um, this is like hot stuff. Saint Jacques, Ultreia Saint Jacques by Raul Perez, 2019. From Bierzo. It is a Bierzo Tinto, which means Tinto means red. Bierzo is in Galicia, and you will remember when we did our Godeo blend, and we've talked about Albarino, upper northwest corner of France, and just above Portugal, Vinho Verde. So the top of Portugal here, and here's the top of Spain that kind of comes across. So Ultreia Saint Jacques, the Camino. There's a movie out about 20 years ago, Martin Sheen, about the Camino. The Camino was a pilgrimage, and now it's kind of like a fun thing to do for friends. Some people do it by bike. Some pilgrims still do it where they are, doing it on their knees or crawling along as a religious pilgrimage to replicate the the Camino of Saint James, Saint Jacques, from France to Compostela de Santiago, the cathedral at the end of Galicia, up in Upper Rias Baixas area, so to the sea, and it is marked by Saint Jacques. Coquille Saint Jacques shells, which are scallop shells, and the path is marked by the scallop shells, which is the symbol of Saint James. So this is kind of a fun walk that people do now. Sometimes they do it in portions. I think if you do the whole walk, it's like a 5 to 8 week thing. Some people, walk it and then have a van service pick them up and bring them to a fancy hotel. Others do it, by sleeping in hostels and camping out. It takes you through some really very cool wine regions in the north of Spain. Ultreia Saint Jacques is a medieval chant or phrase, which means onward St. James. It's a kind of a way to sort of encourage the people who are doing the walk. It comes from a 12th or 13th century French song. So so what it does is it pays homage to where these grapes are from in Bierzo, across the top of Spain. The grape, though, in this is Mencia, Mencia, or Mencia, as the locals pronounce it. If you remember Henry Fonda in On Golden Pond. Saying his wife Ethel Thayer's name, Katharine Hepburn, for you movie buffs out there. Anyhow, I'm digressing. Mencia is a hot grape right now. It's very Gamay like, Beaujolais like, without as much floral nature, with a little more kind of oomph to it. I think that's the thing. The two red wines we have here are similar to other grapes, but have a little more of a, we'll call it a mature taste to them. So this has a little bit more a mature taste. This is a great, incredibly versatile food wine. Some acidity, definitely softer wine. Excellent with a lot of spring meat dishes. I think this will go great with spring mushrooms. Even some bigger seafood, some heavier, fuller bodied fish. I think you can throw this in there with, like, say, a salmon or a char or something like that. Made by Raul Perez. Raul Perez is this gnome, mythical winemaking character who, when you see him walk into a room, is short in stature but big in personality. He's got this big, long, kind of like gray and white beard and wild hair, and he's maybe about 2004, and and he basically, people know when he's in the room kind of thing, and his wines have gotten to be really, really incredibly sought after, to the point where Skurnik, who imports them, actually talked him into coming over from another portfolio, and that portfolio then to come direct imported, to be directly imported by them. That importer then pulled the rest of their Spanish portfolio from Skurnik's portfolio a few years back. So pretty interesting. But Raul Perez is this this gnome-like Yoda-like winemaking character. If you remember the Syrah from Morocco, and I know you do, Alain Grayot's son actually has a joint venture, and I was thinking of using that wine, and that's a wine where they're taking the Menthia grape and making it in a sort of like northern Spain meets northern Rhone style. But I wanted to give you the kind of like the purest expression, and why not? This is a 94-point rated wine, if that kind of matters to you. And the retail price, I'm not sure what the price will be on the reorder, but it'll be somewhere probably no more than like low 20s, if not less. I don't remember the pricing offhand. So really hot grape. I went to one of the industry portfolio tastings yesterday. Actually, Valerie and I went because we were there to talk to some of the importers of some of the great Argentine wines, like Ver Sacrum, and Mary Taylor was there. So so just to give you an idea of these portfolio tastings, this is the book. That's how thick it is. I don't remember exactly how many wines we went through, but after speaking to the Brian Ravitsky, who's the importer of not just of the Ver Sacrum wines, but also of the Pablo Falabrino wines from Uruguay, he says you got to go over there and see, another person in his portfolio's son who's doing these really small batch Menthias from Spain that are like 50 to 100-year-old vines. By the way, this one here that we have, the vines were planted at between 1900 and 1940. It is mostly Menthia, but has a little bit of Trousseau and Alicante Boucher, which has also become a pretty hot grape again, even though it was what people's grandfathers got shipped over by train from California to make their homemade Italian wine with. But so old vines, and we tasted these Menthias that from they probably are like $70 to $100 wines made from grapes that are like 70 to 100-year-old vines, and fascinating stuff. Not the profile you'd get from these day-to-day drinking wines, but stuff with just amazing complexity and structure to them too. But I think you'll find this to be a very pleasing wine, or I hope you do. So that's wine number 2.